Welcome, adventurer, to Mount and Blade Warband. Before beginning the game, you must create your character. Remember that in the traditional medieval society depicted in the game, war and politics are usually dominated by male members of the nobility. That does not, however, mean that you should not choose to play a female character, or one who is not of noble birth. Male nobles may have a somewhat easier start, but women and commoners can attain all the same goals, and in fact may have a much more interesting, if more challenging, early game. So for my gender for this playthrough of just vanilla native warband, I'm going to go male. You were born years ago in a land far away. Your father was an impoverished noble, as I would like a banner immediately. You came into the world a son of declining nobility, owning only the house in which they lived. However, despite your family's hardships, they afforded you a good education and trained you from childhood for the rigors of aristocracy and life at court. You started to learn about the world almost as soon as you could walk and talk. You spent your early life as a page at a nobleman's court. As a boy growing out of childhood, you were sent to live in the court of one of the nobles of the land. There, your first lessons were in humility, as you waited upon the lords and ladies of the household. But from their chess games, their gossip, even the poetry of great deeds and courtly love, you quickly began to learn about the adult world of conflict and competition. You also learned from the rough games of the other children who battered at each other with sticks in imitation of their elders' swords. Then, as a young adult, life changed as it always does. You became a squire, I believe is what I'll choose. Though the distinction felt sudden to you, somewhere along the way you had become a man, and the whole world seemed to change around you. When you were named squire to a noble at court, you practiced long hours with weapons, learning how to deal out hard knocks and how to take them too. You were instructed in your obligations to your lord, and of your duties to those who might one day be your vassals. But in addition to learning the chivalric ideal, you also learned about the less uplifting side. Old warrior stories of ruthless power politics, of betrayals and usurpations of men who used guile as well as valor to achieve their aims. But soon everything changed and you decided to strike out on your own as an adventurer. What made you take this decision was, I'm going to choose personal revenge, as this creates the best backstory, I think, for the character I'm trying to go as, which is basically just a barbarian, just someone out to kill everyone on the battlefield. Only you know exactly what caused you to give up your old life and become an adventurer. Still, it was not a difficult choice to leave, with the rage burning brightly in your heart. You want vengeance, you want justice. What was done to you cannot be undone, and these debts can only be paid in blood. Become an adventurer and ride to your destiny. Because I chose to be the son of a nobleman, I get a banner. So let's see, what do I want to pick here? Let's see. The crossbow's kind of neat. I like this black and white and red one. Maybe the cross swords. Ooh, I like the boat. Let's go with the boat. So, allow me to quit without saving, just in case anything goes wrong with my game. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 points in my strength and 2 into intelligence and 2 in strength so I can get some iron flesh and some of the power strike. And I'm going to put the rest into pathfinding and spotting. And I've already got 1 in iron flesh. And I think I'll put 1 in wound treatment and 1 in surgery. And I enjoy sword and shield, so I'll go one-handed. And my name will be Zia. And now that's a Chinese or Japanese word, and if you know it from Chinese or Japanese, you might pronounce it Shia. But I use a anglicized version of Zia, so that's how I'll pronounce it for the rest of this playthrough. And it is basically someone in ancient Japan, which is not where this is set, but in ancient Japan, who would take the law into their own hands. They would be sort of, I believe the closest interpretation is Robin Hood. They take the law into their own hand. They might break the law through force, but it is for the benefit of others and for upholding honor and loyalty. So that's why I chose that. Okay, and then for character customization, let's see. I'm gonna go with someone with blonde hair. Maybe that guy. Give him a nice goatee. Maybe someone else. Yeah, that guy. That guy looks like an upstanding barbarian murderer. Get him his goatee and let's give him some like. Yeah, that's alright. Some kept hair. He's pretty young. Just lost someone in his family. He's pretty young. There we go. So, you hear about Calradia, a land torn between rival kingdoms battling each other for supremacy, a haven for knights and mercenaries, cutthroats and adventurers, all willing to risk their lives in pursuit of fortune, power, or glory. In this land which holds great dangers and even greater opportunities, you believe you may leave your past behind and start a new life. You feel that finally, you hold the key of your destiny in your hands, free to choose as you will, and that whatever course you take, great adventures will await you. Drawn by the stories you hear about Calradia and its kingdoms, you join a caravan to Ravedin in the kingdom of the Vaegirs, as this is my favorite faction from the original Mount and Blade when they were dyed green, I believe, on the map. In this game, I think they're dyed white, which I'm not a fan of, but I can always change that. You have come through the Vaegir Highlands, a plateau exposed to the bitter winds from the north. The land here is frozen for most of the year, but the forests are rich with fur-bearing game, and the rivers are teeming with fish. The riches of the land draw the traders, but the traders in turn draw bandits. You saw the occasional dark figure mounted on a shaggy pony, watching the passage of your caravan from a snowy ridge, and were glad when the spires of Ravening came into view across the wide valley of the Balak River. Didn't you? You are exhausted by the time you find the inn in Ravedin and fall asleep quickly. However, you awake before dawn and are eager to explore your surroundings. You venture out onto the streets, which are still deserted. All of a sudden, you hear a sound that stands the hairs of your neck on end, the rasp of a blade sliding from its scabbard. So, of course, we have to go through the introductory mission, which is a battle with a bandit, which is, of course, very easy. Talk to this merchant. Are you alright? Well, I guess you're alive at any rate. I'm not sure that we can say the same for the other fellow. That's one less thief to trouble our streets at night, although heaven knows he won't be the last. Anyway, maybe you can help me with something. Let's talk more inside, out here. We don't know who's listening. The merchant takes you to his house. Once inside, he stands by the door for a while, checking the street, and then, finally, convinced you have not been followed, comes near you to speak. Now, let me explain my proposition. We've always had brigands in the hills, driven to banditry by war, debt, or love of violence. Recently, however, they've been getting bolder, leaving their camps in the wild and venturing into town, looking for unwary prey. The watch commander tells us it's because of all the fighting on the frontiers, fewer men to keep an eye on the streets, but I'm not sure what to make of that. It seems to me that the most logical explanation is that these bandits have an ally inside the walls who helps them enter unnoticed and helps them identify particularly tempting targets. Last week, you see, they took my brother. I don't know what my brother was thinking, a lad from a prominent house, out alone after dark in times like this. Well, I suppose you were too, but you're a stranger here, and didn't know how bad things have become. He had no such excuse. But he's family, so what can you do? If you don't protect your kin, then people will start thinking that you can't protect your investments either, and I can't have that. No doubt the gang will soon send word about a ransom, but I don't care to pay it. So here's my proposition. You look like you've had a bit of experience with a blade, and more importantly, you must have a bit of fire in your belly, or you wouldn't be coming to Calradia to seek your fortune. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Gather a small party, track down these bandits to their lair, teach them a lesson they won't forget, and get my brother back safe. In return, you'll earn my lasting gratitude and a bit of silver. What do you say? I'm interested. So we got 100 dinars. Of course, and we have to recruit 5 men, I believe it is. You won't be able to do this by yourself, though. If you try and take on the whole gang single-handedly, the hunter will become the hunted, I'll warrant. You'll first want to round up a group of volunteers. There's always a few lads in the villages around here looking for a bit of work that's more interesting than tilling the soil or hauling water. They'll follow you if you pay. So, take this purse of 100 dinars. Consider it an advance on your reward. Go around to the villages and use the money to hire some help. I'll reckon that you need at least 5 men to take on these bandits. Very good, sir. I'll collect some men from around the villages. Good. You can find me again in the tavern here in Raventon after you've got your group together. Then we'll speak about what we do next. Great, so I got my first quest.